Hey guys! Today we'll be making a miniature cucumber cane because we'll need that for the next project. As always, if you have any questions about the tools and materials I use in these videos, I do have a video about it which I'll be linking in the info box. And if you have any food requests, feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, if you haven't yet read the blog post I have about this channel and what I'm going to be posting and not posting on here, I'm going to leave the link for that post in the info box as well. Hope you'll enjoy! When mixing colors, I always eyeball it, so I'm not able to tell you the exact amounts of each color I used. However, you don't need to worry too much because food is rarely identical. Some cucumbers will look more green or yellow, whilst others look more white. The main thing for these two shades is that you want shade number 1 to be a lot more transparent. Take shade number 1, roll out a snake, and then use your blade to flatten one side to create a teardrop shape. Wrap this in a thin sheet of shade number 2, which is going to give you one of the seeds. Then gently use your hands to stretch the cane so you're able to cut it into 4 equal pieces. Put those together in pairs and then put those 2 pieces together back to back. And you then want to stretch this new cane until you're able to cut it into 3 equal pieces. Put those together with a thin snake of shade number 2 in the center. And then the next step is optional, but I mix shade number 1 and 2 to create a new shade. Then wrap this in a thin sheet of shade number 2. And then repeated the steps from before to create a much less noticeable seed, which I placed a lot more randomly. Then use shade number 2 to first fill out the spaces, and then add a couple of thin sheets. Gently roll the cane so everything sticks together without any air pockets. And the only reason why my end pieces look so clean is because I sliced them off throughout the tutorial so you're able to see the cane a bit better, but you don't have to do this when you're making the cane yourself. For the last 2 sheets, I added a tiny bit of green and yellow to shade number 2. I first added a tiny amount for the first sheet and then added a tiny bit more for the second sheet. You can then roll out the cane. Make sure that you don't roll it more on one side than on the other side, and you also want to make sure to add even pressure. For the outside color, I dusted on some soft pastel. Unfortunately, I'm not able to tell you the exact color names this time because they came from an assorted set that I've had for ages, but you just need 1 or 2 shades to create a nice cucumber green. The reason why I'm using soft pastel on the outside rather than clay is because the peel is so super thin. For the slices of cucumber, you just want to cut a thin slice using your blade. Then add some texture to the seeds using a needle tool and add some light texture to the entire slice using a toothbrush. And I also use the needle tool to make the edges slightly uneven. If you have troubles cutting thin slices from canes, the first thing I'd look at is your blade. Make sure it's fairly new and super sharp. And then it also helps to roll the cane whilst cutting. To make a whole or half of a cucumber, you want to close the end of the cane. And then use a couple of dotting tools to add the texture. And of course you want to add texture to the end piece the same way you did with the slices. Finally, you want to place a small piece of clay at the end and then bake. After baking, I used acrylic paint to add the final coloring. I first used sap green to create an all-over shade, and then I went in with olive green much more sparingly. Add a thin layer of glass glaze, and you're done. If you enjoyed these videos and want to see more, please give the video a thumbs up, leave your food requests in the comments, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.